Hello there, and welcome to Gate Radio Communication on your wonderful and deeply educational program on leadership, technology, and the future. Today is Tuesday, and my name is Kola Johnson. This is Gate Radio Communication, like I said earlier. And the program, this is where we unpack the big ideas that shape the world of technology today as we know it. I'm your host, like I said before, Kola Johnson, and Gate Radio Communication always brings programs to you every day: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And today is Tuesday. I'm bringing to you leadership, technology, and the future. We are diving into something that's as old as humanity, and that's what we want to look at today, but feels brand new in our always on screen life that we live today. And this is what I call the power of storytelling. And the topic for today is stories that lead, redefining leadership in the digital age. If you notice on this program, we've taken you all through every set of technology. We've taken you through those sessions of technology, and today I just want to look at something. I want us to look at something interesting that will help you in your personal life and that will help your business, because we live in a world where people need to not just hear you talk but to feel you talk. I want you to know that people don't just want to hear you talk, they want to feel you talk. And the way they can feel you is to tell your story, so that they can empathize, they can be in your shoes, and then they can always be around you. So that's what we want to look at today. I want to start with set the pace by asking you to just imagine this. Just follow this train of thought, right? Follow me. You are scrolling through your feed at 2 a.m. Just imagine that you are scrolling, around 2 a.m., 3 a.m., just late at night, midnight thing, that time, and you are bombarded by data, strategies and stats, statistics. Other CEO just tweets about quarterly targets, yawn, and then the story hits. All right, just follow me. And then you're not going to hear a leader sharing a raw tale of failure, because as a leader, again, you must not create a perception of you being a god, that you are all perfect. People want to relate with your failure. They want to relate with your failure before they even relate with your success. If not, you just be driving them into what they are not supposed to be. He tells the story, his tale of failure, his triumph, his vision, that tugs at your heart, sort of vision that you can relate with. All right, and suddenly you are hooked. Why do you think this happens? Because in a hyper connected digital world where information overload is our daily grind, and I tell you this, we experience this every day, it's not the slickest strategy that wins hearts and minds. It's the story that sticks. It's not, that, oh, this thing is so fanciful, this is the strategy, this is what. It's not just about that, but your story. Brands have mastered this, and that is why they live long. As humans, we often remember stories that sticks. We often remember stories, that have images, there are some stories, from my childhood that I can still remember till today, spoken in Yoruba. So you must be able to remember these stories. This is how brands win our hearts for the longest. And I'm talking about branding. When you talk about branding again, is not just about your logo or your colors. It's about how people can retain you in their mind, and this is very important. It's very important for storytelling. There are certain brands that if you mention now, you can tell how they happen. When you jump on social media, you see some people bringing this nostalgic advert from back in the day. And when you watch these things, you just be like, oh, I remember this. Why? You understand the story, you could relate with it. Many brands have climbed up the ladder because of storytelling. Many people in our day today have become a voice and a force because of storytelling. I will show you statistics today. I will show you people who have, through storytelling, won the heart of people and are still winning the heart of people. And I want you to learn from this, because the world we are living in is not just about who can handle the microphone, who can speak to the crowd, but more of who can tell stories that people can relate with. In music, you see the storytelling. People don't just want to see that you landed, they want to see that they can relate with your grass to grace story. They want to be able to relate with you. We see that these things are very important. Storytelling is important for you personally and even for your business. All right. So I want you to just put that in your mind. And I want to quickly say that at Amorgate, we train and then we advise and develop strategies for your organizations to grow and become globally relevant. And that's one thing we do at Amorgate, to train you and to advise you to develop your organization, not just for local relevance, but definitely for global relevance. Today we'll explore how storytelling, not just cold strategy, is set to define the leaders of tomorrow. All right, it's set to define the leaders of tomorrow. We'll draw from cutting edge research, share more real world examples than ever. Today I'll be sharing a lot of real world examples, and maybe even spark you to craft your own narrative. And that's one thing I want to achieve today, that after this particular episode you begin to be sparked, you feel that spark to begin to tell your narrative, so that you won't think that your own narrative is so special that nobody must hear me. No. That special narrative is what will help someone have hope. And you as the leader should know this. How to inspire hope is to tell your own story, so that your people can actually relate with you. Stick around. I want you to stick around. You are going to have a very smooth ride, and it might just make you be on an edge a bit, but it might be a bit edgy, but I promise you that you have a lot to learn. So pick your pen, sit down, let us have fun together. It's going to be a great time. So first, let's set the stage. I want to set the stage. After the scenario I painted, I want to set the stage, right? We're in an era of hyperconnectivity, right? With remote teams across continents. 2020 set the tone for the word remote. It set the tone for the word remote. So now we talk about remote this, remote that, remote this, remote that. It set the tone for anything remote, right? Now, this hyperconnectivity, bringing that word remote, AI is shaping jobs overnight. Social media is turning every voice into a megaphone, more amplified now. Strategies are essential, but as Harvard Business Review, I like using this, has repeatedly shown, telling a compelling story is how you build credibility for yourself and your ideas. Facts inform, stories transform. This is very important. Facts will only inform you, but stories will transform. And transformation should be at the heart of what you want people to see, not just information. Information is good, but you must be able to transform your information such that it can be a story that will transform people. Transformation is at the heart of leadership, and this is very important. Telling compelling story must be a tool for building credibility for yourself. People should know you for your stories. People should be able to trust you. You should be able to earn people's trust by the stories you are telling. They want to be able to relate with the stories you are telling, and these you can do. These you can buy by telling your own story. Your story is not unique. Yes, it is unique to you, but I promise you that uniqueness is what you should bring on board. because when you bring it on board, people begin to relate with it and they can trust you, and every leader wants the trust of their follower. Research proves it. Studies show storytelling addresses the emotions, not just the rational mind. And in our digital world, multimedia stories, short videos, threads, reels, these things boost engagement. They boost engagement sky high, right? I mean, we're in a world where people are constantly in motion. There's information overload, like some people, like I already mentioned. Information overload, especially video contents. Go on Twitter, you see threads, you see reels, and these things help to engage your mind. People are daily telling their stories. Why not you? And now, I want to do a quick why your brand need story and not slogan. Why your brand needs stories and not slogan, right? This is a quick question. When was the last time a banner ad made you cry or make you laugh, makes you laugh out loud, or immediately just open your pocket? When was the last time any banner did that to you? Yeah, but I'm trying to get your mind now. Exactly. It never did. But a story can do all three before the video even hits the 8-second mark. A good story can do that. Now, this is a science backing. I want to back this claim I just made with a research. A neuroscientist by the name Paul Zak, at Claremont Graduate University, wired people up to brain scanners, while they watch different kinds of ads. The pure fact, future heavy ads, barely a blip. There was no any reaction. That was just pure fact, information overload, just telling them the future, just telling them that, oh, this has this and this, just pitching to them, pitching. It barely had a blip. The people that were used for this experiment, it didn't spark anything in their brain. But when a story came on, especially one with a relatable character facing a struggle, two things exploded. Pardon me, the medical people. Cortisol, that's the pay attention chemical in the body, and the oxytocin. Sometimes they call it the trust you, take my money chemical, in the body. Those two things blipped. And Zach's conclusion from this was very brutal. That stories are the fastest way to change someone's mind and their behavior. Stories are actually the fastest way to change people's mind, to get people to buy into your vision, or to get people to buy your product. Tell a story. If you want people to buy your product, tell them a story, sell them a story. That's how you can get people to buy. And in marketing, behavior equals sales, shares, sign-ups, and loyalty. And this is very important. I think when I saw this particular research, I was like, oh wow, this is very interesting. So you see, your storytelling is beyond facts. Your storytelling is making people to buy into your vision, and this must be the highest thing in your mind. You must always think about this. Let me give you 3 key insights, backed by even more living, breathing examples. So I'm not just spilling facts and all. But before I go on that, I want you to recognize the importance of what Amorgate does for your organization with ASAIF, which is a platform that helps you not only strategize but also execute. We are just a call away, so you can just call us. We have this platform. We help you to execute, whatever you have. And this is Insight 1 as we continue on this very wonderful program. This is the Insight 1. Stories build trust in a distrustful digital age. Note this part, and I'm going to explain why. Trust is fragile when deep fakes and hot takes are one click away. We have deep fakes. Deep fakes are at the order of the day now, and then it becomes hot takes sometimes because people want controversy. People use deep fakes to cause controversy, and controversy drive engagement, and engagement sometimes means trust. Or people are buying into whatever you are doing. This is where fake stories that destroy years of repetition are trendy. Authentic stories release oxytocin, the trust hormone, and make people lean in. And that's what you want to do. This year is your goal, drawing people into your world and experiencing what you are experiencing. You must tell a story that drive people to buy into your world, right? Authentic story. When you tell these stories, be genuine, be authentic. When you tell your story, don't just tell a story. Oh, no. Be authentic with your story. I mean, let's take Elon Musk for instance. His X thread is and they are not quarterly reports anyway. When Elon Musk does his threads, they are not quarterly reports. They are epic sagas of mass, near bankruptcy scars, and sleepless nights in the factory. I know we can relate with this. Why? Because he told the stories. You can remember what I just said now just by summarizing it, because you can remember how he told the story. People don't just follow Tesla updates, they feel the mission. Kai, this is very important. This is the very heart of leadership. Every leader must learn how to make people feel and experience the mission rather than just hear about the mission. Hearing the mission is not enough. People must feel it. They must participate. There must be a sense of participation, But he's not alone, right? He's not alone. Satya Nadella at Microsoft, constantly shares the deeply personal story of his son Zane's birth and lifelong disability. He weaves it into keynotes, LinkedIn posts, all hands videos, and he now turns it into Microsoft's new North Star, right? Empathy first, growth mindset always. Empathy first, then growth mindset always. In a company of 200,000 people spread across the planet, that single repeating story shifted the entire culture from cutthroat to curious in under 5 years. That's how storytelling can transform an organization. It can transform workers from being lazy to being very active. They want to share, they want to be able to, relate to you as a human. Another masterclass, Sheryl Sandberg. In 2015, 30 days after her husband Dave died suddenly, she posted on Facebook the raw, unfiltered story of her grief and the Jewish tradition of Shaloshim. It was read by 75 million people, translated into dozens of languages, and changed how leaders talk about loss, mental health, and bringing, your whole self to work. One post did what 1,000 HR policies never could. Stories are powerful. They are powerful like that. And we must imbibe it. Now, you can just imagine how one woman's story transform corporate acceptance or corporate policy for HR. Just one person's story. And this is the second insight. Narratives drives innovation faster than any PowerPoint deck ever will. Having PowerPoint is good. Nobody says it's not good. But narrative must drive your PowerPoint. That's the point I'm trying to say. Strategy tells people what to do. Story tells them why it matters, so that they will lose sleep over it. People remember story than just an information. Howard Schultz did exactly this when he returned to Starbucks in 2008. The company was bleeding. Instead of sending spreadsheets, he flew 10,000 store managers to New Orleans, told the story of his childhood in the Brooklyn projects, his father's broken dreams, and how a good cup of coffee once felt like dignity. Then he linked it to Hurricane Katrina rebuilding efforts. Grown managers cried. Grown-ups, you can imagine grown-ups crying. The company turned around. That wasn't strategy theater. That was narrative leadership at scale. Narrative leadership amplified by blogs, videos, and social shares. Again, Brian Chesky of Airbnb gave us one of the most powerful modern example in 2020. Very, very powerful example. Laying off 1,900 people, which is like 25% of the company. He published a 2,300 word letter that read like a novel chapter. The desperate 2008 founding story, the pandemic gut punch, the painful decision, and a hopeful vision of travel returning. He detailed severance, equity, healthcare, job help, everything. He detailed it. The letter went mega viral. Recruiters called layoff employees first. Airbnb's reputation actually rose during mass layouts. That is storytelling, turning tragedy into enduring loyalty. That's what you want to build. That's what to be. And the third one I want to talk about is storytelling. That's the third insight. Storytelling scales empathy across fragmented, hybrid, global teams. Jacinda Ardern, during the Christchurch terrorist attack and COVID-19, her Facebook lives wearing press conferences. They were a friend talking to you in your living room. We are one. After the mosque shootings, told through tears and a simple, headscarf gesture of solidarity, united an entire nation and was shared millions of times worldwide. During lockdowns, she appeared in a hoodie after putting her toddler to bed, saying, "I'm just like you." We are in this together. Empathy at warp speed, delivered straight through screens into people's hearts. Yeah, that's how it works. You can't run from storytelling as a leader, as a business owner, or even in your career. You can't run from, if you want to really build successful dream, you cannot run from storytelling. And here's one more, right, that hits close to home for every remote leader. Rowan Trollope, CEO of Five9, he regularly retells the true story of a call center agent who stayed on the line with a suicidal customer for 45 minutes, talking her down until police arrived. He uses that single story in every onboarding, every earnings call, every investor deck. Result: employees leave the mission, customers stay longer, stock price triples. One story repeated relentlessly across Slack, Zoom, emails, and all of those things becomes unbreakable culture. This is how stories become a culture. And when a story becomes a culture, man, the people begin to work better with the vision, even beyond the vision you have. They begin to work as though they are the owners of that particular vision. That's the power of storytelling. And here I want to just take a quick break. This is Amogate Radio Communication. I will continue after this break and just listen to the message we have for you on Amogate Radio Communication. This has been Kola Johnson, and this has been Leadership, Technology, and the Future. I'll be right back.
Amogate, founded in 2008 out of a desire to build transgenerational structures for organizations, institutions, and nations. We have worked with large businesses, international development organizations, and public sector ministries and agencies. Amogate Our uniqueness is that we do not just work for you, we work with you. For example, we do not leave you to the task after sourcing talent that will help the new hire settle into robust leadership development programs. We are technical experts in advising and supporting institutions on strategy and leadership, artificial intelligence, strategic human resource management, public sector reform, finance, audit and tax, FAT, and strategic communications. We do all this and more out of a desire to transform nations through institutions and organizations. For further inquiries, email contact at thearmorgate.org or call +234 810 999 6666 +234 807 957 4151 and +161 0504 6026 www.thearmorgate.org. Armorgate, building to endure and transforming nations through institutions and organizations.
Welcome back to Amorgate Radio Communication. I'm Kola Johnson, and this has been Amorgate Radio Communication. The program is Leadership, Technology, and the Future. Now let's drive right in. One common thing about how these stories got the needed attention is technology. Leadership must know how to, use technology to shape the narrative in an ethical manner. You see the pattern, bar? Yeah, you see the pattern. These aren't feel-good side dishes. It's not just something to make you feel good. They are the main course. And here's the recap of what I've just said. Right? Here's the recap. Schwartz saves is a dying brand. Nadella resurrected Microsoft soul. Sandberg normalized grief at work. Chesky turned a bloodbath into a love letter. Aden held a country together with her voice and a phone camera. All of them use digital channels to make ancient storytelling feel urgent, immediate, and intimate. Intimate. You see that word intimate is what I want you to take home. Your story must be intimate. People must feel, not just hear. They must feel, not just hear. Research from MIT, Harvard, Forbes, and storytelling labs like Duarte, all say the same thing. Leaders who master narrative, when you master narrative, you outperform those who don't. They always outperform those who don't. Higher engagement, faster change adoption, stronger cultures, better stock performance, lower turnover. Period. That's it. That's how it is. So here's the truth for every leader, founder, director, or team lead listening right now. In this hyper-connected world, your story, it lives rent-free in people's heads forever. It lives rent-free. Start small. Next Zoom call, tell your story. Skip the 3 bullet points and tell one true story instead. Share the scar, not just the scar tissue. Tell us why this not so interesting thing still matters to you. Invite others to add their chapter. Everybody have a chapter to add. Invite others to add their chapter. Because the leaders who will define the next decade won't be the ones with the best algorithm. They are the ones with the best stories. Yeah, relatable stories. They will be the ones who make us feel something at 2 a.m. on a Slack thread, in a TikTok clip, or in a quiet moment when someone finally believes again. That's the future of leadership. I tell you, that's the future of leadership. Tell stories that people can feel. Tell it in a compelling manner and watch them follow you all the way. You must learn to tell stories. Tell your own stories. Tell your own stories. And join the train of leaders who can see the future. You must be a leader that can see through the future. And how do you see through the future? Tell your story now so that people can be with you. And this is where I begin to bring it down for this program on Amorgate Radio Communication. I want to say a big thank you for joining me on Leadership, Technology, and the Future. This has been an insightful program, and I want you to take a powerful step today as you listen to this program. Commit in your heart that you will find a true story, or even a story that people can relate with. Maybe something that happened to you, maybe something that you did that you are not so proud of, but now has now become a major part of your journey, that people can learn from, so that you begin to inspire people and teach them how to follow you better and how to follow their dream better. My name is Kola Johnson. I want you to go tell your story. It matters a lot, and I promise you, someone needs to hear it. I promise you that. Thank you, and see you next week.